Morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining today's webinar about ESOS Phase 4 in compliance strategy and opportunity for 2026. This session is going to be hosted by myself and Leon. Leon is in a different office and he's going to be in charge of skipping the slides because he's going to do most of the talking in the middle. Do you want to skip to the next slide for me, Leon? First things first, I just wanted to say I wasn't totally sure about hosting the webinar on a Friday, particularly in December, but we have a really good turnout today. So thank you to you all for taking your time to join today. We don't tend to do the webinars on a Friday, but as I'm sure a lot of you know, today marks the halfway point in the ESOS Phase 4 compliance period. So 2 years in and 2 years to go, which might be a little bit surprising to some because of the extensions that were introduced in Phase 3. But yeah, we're at the halfway point and nearing the business end of the phase. So my name's William, and I'm from the EIC sales team. I've worked with EIC for over 15 years now, and although I think my background mainly in energy markets and procurement strategies, I realised when I was preparing for this webinar that I've been talking about ESOS now for on and off with the compliance cycles for over 10 years now. So, but the scheme's changed a lot over the years, and it will continue to do so. So I'm pleased to be joined today by Leon, who will, from our sustainability team, who will do most of the talking about the detail in the scheme and provide the latest information and insights. Cool. Do you want to go to the next slide, please, Leon? So today's session, it has been recorded. So a record will be made available to you all. It's scheduled to last for about an hour. We'll start with some brief introductions at the beginning, and then I'll hand over to Leon to go through the scheme in more details. And then at the end, we've got time for question and answers. These webinars are great for reaching a wider audience and having a recording available for people to watch on demand, but we can't see you or hear you. So for me, at least, it's a little bit of a challenge. I feel like I'm talking to myself a little bit. So please do ask questions throughout. It'll show us that you definitely are there, and it'll make the session a better one. So the next slide, please, Leon. The next one. I guess just as a very brief introduction to EIC first. So EIC Partnership, we're a business-to-business energy consultancy providing services and solutions to organisations who want to manage utility costs, reduce usage and emissions, and be compliant and achieve sustainability goals. One of the services that we provide is delivering ESOS compliance. So we've been doing it for a long while. So delivered it to hundreds of organisations, I should say. So the ESOS Phase 1 deadline was back in December, 5th of December 2015. So today is the 10-year anniversary for the Phase 1 compliance deadline. And over those 3 phases, we've helped organisations over loads of different sectors. You can see some listed there, but there are many more you could add to that as well. Over the years, some of our clients have been selected by the Environment Agency to have their compliance audited. So all our ESOS clients are provided with evidence packs, including all the audits and the data and methodologies and stuff like that, just to justify the route to compliance and that it's been submitted properly. And the lead assessor sits in any meetings with the Environment Agency as well to answer any questions. So the approach is comprehensive, and as such, it's demonstrated by effective compliance every time without any rejections. And not only does it make it, is it good to have 100% compliance, but it's good that it's as easy as possible because it's, all the data is what makes the life for the clients, the Environment Agency, and for us a lot better. But, above just achieving compliance, we want to add value to the organisations that we support, and we work hard to make sure that the audits are as insightful as possible. So EIC have been in business for over 50 years now, and it's a competitive and a fairly fast-moving sector we operate in, and you can only really do that by doing a good job and adding value to the clients that you work with. And then the next slide, please, Leon. The aim for today's session is essentially to make you better informed so that you can get the most out of the ESOS scheme as easily as possible. There's going to be an assumption of a certain level of understanding from the audience. I expect most of you have been doing it for a long while. If anyone is here to try to get to grips with the scheme, then maybe we could organise a separate session. Just feel free to reach out. But in today's session, we're going to be looking at some of the key requirements for Phase 4, the routes to compliance, and how to take a strategic approach. So you don't want to just achieve ESOS compliance, but you take a broader view of other compliance requirements you've got, and any other business objectives or sustainability aspirations. So you can not only achieve compliance with ESOS more efficiently, but you can also make it more effective as well. So with that, my talking is pretty much done. Before I hand over to Leon, though, I wanted to launch a poll, which we'll just do now. Hopefully, everyone will be able to see that on the screens. I'm going to assume that you can. The question is, which compliance approach is your organisation most likely to pursue? Are you going to be doing energy audits, 50,001, bit of both, or are you still to decide what route you're going to take? So I'll just leave that a little bit longer and then we'll end it. Okay. So I'll share the results on the screen, see what they look like. For full ESOS audit, 26%, 50,001, 23%, bit of both 3%, we'll decide 38%. We'll look at some of the information in the later slide. Sorry, a message just popped up on my screen and I'm easily confused. But to say, it's surprising a little bit that because the 50,001 for Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3 was nowhere near as prevalent as 23%. It was much less than 10% really for Phase 3. So that obviously, signals a bit of the direction of travel for what people are doing. Thank you for sharing those answers with me. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to you, Leon, for the detail bit.
Right. Thank you, Billy. I'll be picking up the presentation now to dive into the specifics of ESOS Phase 4 and its key changes. By the way, my name is Leon, and I'm the head of sustainability for EIC. I've been with the company for about 3 years, and I lead the sustainability and carbon services for EIC. So, when speaking about ESOS Phase 4, this is where the compliance challenge significantly evolved, and we'll spend the next few minutes covering the new mandatory requirements. But before we look into Phase 4, let's quickly recap Phase 3 ESOS and look at some of the lessons we learned. So Phase 3 basically saw a tightening of requirements, if you recalled. The de minimis was lowered to 5%, meaning the organizations have to cover a full 95% of their total energy consumption in their audits instead of the 90% adopted in Phase 2. The mandatory energy intensity matrix was also introduced, and a more audit coverage was therefore required. We saw a significant increase in the need, for example, in the transport audits as a result of the de minimis change. Right. So, despite the effort, common issues still persisted. Often, the first one being the poor data quality. Often there was seen an estimated figures for example, for data like transport fuel, and then estimated energy bills for spare spaces and on site, and also non-invoiced utilities, leading to low quality audits. Second is the missing or incomplete audit evidence. An example would be there will be a lot of evidence that the companies are not used to collect, but when being asked to provide, so they couldn't. And then next would be the insufficient organization coverage. And so example of this would be, for example, we do have a client where they are a UK, basically a subsidiary of like a group, and they qualify for ESOS on its own. but the rest of the group in the subsidiaries and the highest UK company actually didn't qualify. But in the requirements, actually, the whole group is legally required to sort of comply with ESOS. And often at times, organizations often fail to identify this link and omit the last portion of the required the energy data that is needed for full compliance. And lastly, also insufficient organizational coverage. In the last one is the opportunities identified but limited implementations, so which leads to basically a lot of opportunities were identified but not implemented. This distance is why we should now expect further requirement tightening in phase 4. Right, going to the next. So these slides actually details the biggest change in ESOS, the shift from action plans to implementation updates reporting. ESOS is fundamentally moving from periodic audit scheme to a continuous implementation scheme, with the initial action plan for phase 3 due on 6th of March this year. So you haven't submitted this. In case you haven't submitted it, you want to speak to us urgently for that. The organizations must submit 2 progress updates on the implementation of your energy saving measures. The first is due on the 5th of December 2025. The second is due on December 5th, 2026. The cycle of planning, action, and reporting means that the compliance conversation now is ongoing, directly mimicking the continuous improvement cycle of an energy management system like the ISO 50001. So the bar is being raised significantly for data quality and coverage. The limit is to remain at 5% in phase 4. So meaning that you must cover 95% of your total energy use. And then also the regulation now requires verified accurate energy data with less estimation. This means moving away from assumption towards auditable metering, meter readings and invoices. And then next, we need a more granular site and asset level reporting. This shift to detailed data is crucial because it's what directly supports the new ESOS action plan and implementation reports, allowing you to measure your progress accurately. It also significantly helps with schemes like SCCR and CCA alignment as well. Ultimately, improved data will lead to lower compliance rates and better energy insights. Next, another update is the public disclosure. For phase 4, 2 data parameters will be published publicly. First is about the sum of the selected ESOS data that will be made public, including your company's information, the year, what you're complying under the route that you've chosen, and then also the other thing is about the organization's action plan. The implication here is profound. Public accountability is a powerful driver. When your energy commitments are visible to investors, customers, and the media, the internal pressure to deliver those commitments increase exponentially. This makes ESOS a critical part of your overall ESG strategy and reputation management, as poor implementation will now be a matter of public record. Additionally, we also see a stricter enforcement, which is the final major change on the enforcement and on audit processes, with alternative routes to be of compliance we in phase 3 to be removed. So in phase 4, organizations can no longer use DEC or green dues assessment for compliance. organization, so that leaves organization with only, two choices left. One is to undertake full ESOS audit covering greater than or equal to 95% of total energy use, or second, use full ISO 50001 certification for the entire organization. The government message is clear here. The team is being significantly strengthened, and organizations are expected to invest time and resources to move beyond simply complying towards genuine implementation. So this leads us directly to the strategic decision, potentially, of using ISO 50001. So, sorry, before we go into that, so we can see here with the, here's an overview on the number of organizations choosing different routes in phase 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, and also mentioned by William earlier, the number of companies, adopting ISO 50001 is less than 10% in phase 3. However, you can see a huge increase in nearly 3 times, over two times in phase 3 for the number of organizations choosing ISO 50001 as a compliant route compared to phase 2. So we will expect a continuous increase in companies adopting ISO 50001 in ESOS Phase 4 as an option for compliance. It is also reflected in our poll earlier. Moving on to ISO 50001, let's now explore the strategic decision of achieving ESOS compliance through ISO 50001. So ISO 50001 is basically the international standard for energy management system, or the ENMS in short. And basically offer a compelling route because it provides full ESOS compliance when it covers at least 95% of your energy use. And if you achieve 100%, it actually removes the need for a separate ESOS lead assessor sign-off and the specific period ESOS audits as well. However, a crucial distinction is needed. Well, while it removes the ESOS audits requirement, energy audits are still required as part of the continuous ISO 50001 certification process. The difference is the timing and integration. Instead of a one-off scramble, this audit becomes an embedded continuous part of your system. The continuous system is designed to drive operational savings and improve governance and accountability all year round. While implementing ISO 50001 also requires more initial setup and a deeper organization commitment than a traditional ESOS audit, it results in less compliance scramble every 4 years and deliver measurable cost and carbon savings through established management practices. ISO 50001 is a perfect fit for the new technical requirements of Phase 4 because its structure naturally fulfills the new expectations, where it mandates the following. One is the continuous energy performance monitoring. 2, the clear roles, responsibility, and governance. Then the third one is to verify data quality and control. And also, at the same time, we also automatically generate evidence of energy efficiency improvement. And then it makes it perfect fit for action plan and implementation reporting, as well as the formal ESOS notification of compliance on the ESOS portal. Finally, ISO 50001 creates crucial synergies with your other reporting obligations, making your whole compliance function more efficient. For example, in your SECR streamlined carbon energy and carbon reporting, ISO 50001 ensures aligned data collections and reporting cycles. For those organizations participating in climate change agreements, DCA, the continuous monitoring supports target tracking and verification. And for organizations' net zero strategy, and it forms the essential operation foundation for carbon reduction efforts. We cannot effectively reduce emission without a management system to track and verify action. And further, if organizations decide to go further in their net zero commitments by adopting verifications like science-based target initiatives such as SBTi, ISO 50001 directly supports the measurement, monitoring, and actions required to meet ambitious verified targets. In short, ISO 50001 transforms ESOS compliance from a cost center into a strategic asset to deliver value across the business. Now let's widen the lens and look at the key milestone as we approach the key reporting years of 2026 and 2027. So the next few years are significant milestones for several major compliance and reporting schemes. So getting your strategy right now is crucial. So first, let's look at the calendar for ESOS Phase 4, some of the important dates. So the qualification date, so the compliance period officially will be starting from 6th of December 2023 all the way to 5th of December 2027. Qualification date is 31st of December 2026. Now, this date is often confused by many organizations as the date for notification submission. But actually, this is what we call the qualification date, which essentially means that any company that falls under the ESOS requirement on this date will need to submit a notifications by the 5th of December 2027, which is the official submission deadline. And as we mentioned earlier, there are two action plan progress update submission required. The first one is actually today, the 5th of December 2025, and the other one is the 5th of December 2026. Okay, as for other related schemes, the first one is what we call the UK Sustainability Reporting Standard, the UK SRS. This is a new comprehensive set of standards. We anticipate a voluntary alignment starting in 2026 with mandatory adoption for certain entities from the financial year 2026. So the standard is designed to bridge the gap between financial reporting and ESG performance, meaning your energy data will increasingly be treated with the same rigor as your financial data. So for CCA, the climate change agreement, target periods, and new renewal activities will be ongoing across 2025 to 2026 with the new target period in action now. For the SCCR, annual reporting cycles are unchanged for now, but we anticipate a possible future evolution after the UK SRS full rollout. More detail will have to be, released. We need to wait for more details from the EA. So the key takeaway is the key of deadlines here. We cannot approach these if you are involved in more than one schemes in isolation. So therefore, our stronger advice is to align your compliance schemes. So right, these strategic alignments is so important. First, it allows you to avoid duplicated audits. So by combining these schemes into one consolidated action items or projects, it will help you to generate multiple reports and that in one audit potentially, and it will also reduce the administrative burdens that you will have to put in on preparing different schemes, the necessary information and also the data, and it also ensures you improve data consistency across all reports. You can build a single strategic roadmap and ultimately, this helps streamline reporting to regulators and stakeholders. So with phase 4 underway and 2026 rapidly approaching, how do you build your robust roadmap? Our advice is to start early. Data preparation is the biggest challenge. Waiting until 2026 is probably too late. You need time to implement metering, collect historical data, and verify accuracy. Second, assess ISO 60001 suitability. Determine if the ISO route is a strategic fit for your organization or not. Here, we want to reiterate that ISO 50001 may not be suitable for every organization, and so assessing the suitability is also a very important task to plan for now. As we discussed, ISO 50001 provides the most efficient path for long-term compliance, but it also implies that organization will need to spend more effort and resources on that route as well. And then the third one would be the combined planning. You want to integrate your ESOS, SECL, CCA, and UK SRS reporting planning wherever applicable. This will avoid working in compliance silos. Next, assign clear internal owners. Compliance requires commitment. You need clear senior sponsorship, bringing together stakeholders from finance, operations, legal, and sustainability team to sort of put this together. And then you want to create a gap analysis and action tracker. So understand where your current data and process fall short of the phase 4 requirement and track your progress rigorously. Lastly, you want to book early supports. This is the most crucial steps in our opinion. The demand for ESOS lead assessor and auditors will peak dramatically in 2026 and 2027. So securing your audit resource well in advance is the only way to guarantee a smooth, timely, and quality submission. This brings us to the end of my part on the requirements. I will now hand back to William, who will detail on how EIC can potentially partner with you on this journey.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you. Cool. So before I just get into the wrapping up slides, I just had one other poll I was just going to ask if we could all answer this, please. So hopefully you can all see that. The question is, with the 5th of December 27 deadline, how far along is your organisation right now? Are you still doing phase 3? Or the action plan that was due in March? Have you appointed a lead assessor, and are you setting up the data collection? Have you got a total plan set out with the timeline and stuff, or have you not started the planning yet? Cool. Some answers are still coming in. When I'll end it there so people don't just have to look at my face while I watch the little bars move. There we go. So I'll say those results. There's about a quarter of people still focused on some of the follow-up from the phase 3 work. Just over 13% have appointed lead assessor. 16% people know exactly what they're going to do, and 47% haven't started the planning yet. There's 2 years to go. We're at the halfway point now. I would say, for nearly half people not started planning yet. And I forget how many people said they were going to do the 50,001 as the route. Was it 30-something%? I forget. But that 50,001, I don't quite know what the timeline for it is. But if that's going to be the route for some of those people who haven't started the planning yet, then probably something to get a wriggle on with. Thank you very much. I'll keep that poll there. And Leon, if you could skip to the next slide for me, please. Thank you. All right. As I mentioned earlier on, EIC have supported hundreds of organisations with ESOS compliance over the years, but we've also supported with lots of other schemes as well, some mandatory ones and some voluntary ones. So, all the ones that Leon's mentioned earlier on, like SCCR and CCAs. We also do lots of EPBD things and help people, work towards ISO 50001 certification. We've got a lot of experience doing a lot of those things. The teams are all in-house, so that's good. And we've got the national coverage as well to support organisations, regardless of how they're spread out. It's good that the people are in-house, because not only does it mean we can do those compliance schemes that you have to do, but we can also, apply the expertise that the team have got to different projects as well. So if you've got different things that you're looking at, we've probably got people in the team who have experience in that could offer some advice and some support. It's good methodologies. I mean, I think that's just doing it properly. So when your compliances are audited or when they're scrutinised by anybody, you can be confident that they're going to stand up and you're doing them properly and you're getting the most out of them. For the digital tools, a lot of the schemes require a lot of data to be collected and processed, and then to have that data available to then be, auditable later on. So, we have good systems in house that have been developed internally, and those get used across multiple services as well. So although different schemes will have different objectives and requirements, where they share, the same data collection requirements, a centralized database enables you to do that a lot more efficiently, take advantage of those efficiencies in data collection and processing. And it also makes the services a lot more effective and economical as well. And like I said earlier on, it's all about trying to, make a difference. So, we like doing everything we do properly, but, one of the reasons we do that is so that, clients can get the best experience and service out of it. So when savings are achieved, we've done our job properly. Next slide, please, Leon. And also, just before I start talking about this slide, I would just say we've had a few questions in already, but, if you've got any in your mind, ask them now, because I'm going to be done in a minute. So ask any questions now, so then we can answer them in a moment. Our services, like I've spoken about already, we do a lot of ESOS audits and the compliance support across those multiple schemes. 50,001 is obviously something that's grown a lot more popular. People want to adopt it. I think not only because it ticks the box for the compliance in the best way, with the best practices, and the buy-in across the whole business. It also helps with if you're bidding for business, if you can tell people that you're operating to that standard, they know exactly what you're talking about. You're not trying to make claims that that you then have to back up. They know what you're talking about when you've got 50,001 certification. So I can see why it's grown more popular. I think we've got the UK SRS, which is coming in soon. So that's the consultations that's still ongoing. But I think it's early next year we will get the confirmation about what it's going to be about. But it's probably going to be connected to what the TCFD was like before. So we've got a lot of experience in those things. We will help organisations with that. And then data management and performance. I think when you start to set out what you're going to achieve, you need to then track the progress as you go, so you can make sure that you're making the right kind of progress, and if you're not, what kind of interventions can be put in place to put you back on track. So we have the team who will monitor performance and provide feedback and identify areas where maybe a bit of attention is needed. But we also support with the actual energy management as well, and collecting all the data and hosting it and making it all visible for analytics and whatnot. So helping people understand exactly what's going on and helping, that's what we do. And obviously, the net zero support with SBTI alignment and other ESG. So we do all of those things. And the next slide, please, Leon. Next step. I mean, it's a really simple slide. The next one, Lane, if you're going to pop it up, it's basically just saying, after the session, we'll probably reach out to you as well, just to request any feedback on the session, so we can, make future ones better and make sure you're getting as much out of it as you can. But yeah, please just get in touch, because everyone's requirements are a little bit different. So these sessions are good to provide a bit of insight, but for individual circumstances, nothing beats an actual consultation just to discuss what your requirements are, what your objectives and what your challenges are, and then we can help you come up with a solution. Super. So with that, I think the next slide is Q&A, doesn't it, Leon? Yeah. So I'll ask some questions, Leon, and then you can offer some answers. And I know you've got a colleague, Chris, here as well, if needs be. But I'll just start with the first one. Is ISO 50001 net zero?
Well, okay. So the short answer is no, because ISO 2001, as I mentioned earlier, is an energy management system. So it does not inherently include net zero, because net zero you're already talking about carbon emission, net zero in carbon emission. So ISO 2001 is essentially an energy efficiency standard focusing on optimizing current energy use and consumption. However, it is an excellent foundation for any net zero strategy setup, because obviously, I would say for most organizations, if not all, energy consumption will be a very, very core portion, a big part of your energy, your carbon emission profile. So this continuous monitoring data management process in your energy consumption required by ISO 50001 would be something that you will need to track your emission reduction progress, and therefore verify the effectiveness of your decarbonization measures. So yeah, a summary to that is that no, ISO 50001 does not include net zero, because they technically they're talking about two different things here, but however they are highly linked issues, and it will be very useful. Sorry, I just going on to the chat. There's a guy, Ronnie, asking about the SME with less than 250 employees and 44 million turnover. So does this ESOS apply to you? The question would be, it depends on how much your annual balance sheet is as well. Because if you have less than 250 employees, but you have a turnover of more than 44 million and an annual balance sheet of total of more than 38 million, then in theory, you'll be qualified for ESOS. But however, you need to fulfill that information, as I mentioned earlier, on the qualification date, which is the 31st of December 2026.
Thank you.
Right. And then we're getting another question about the voluntary reporting schemes. So a lot of reporting schemes where you can adopt, and for example, one is what we call the ISSB report, and then obviously there is one where is more applicable to the UK would be what we call the CFD reporting. There are also a lot of other reports, with fulfilling need for different organizations in different situations. So you're welcome to talk to us about and let us know more about your company's situation, and then before we can advise you a more precise what to do.
Can I just, with regards to the qualification as well, there's the 2-year rule to consider as well, isn't there? So if you're meeting the criteria, the financial thresholds of 44 million turnover and 38 balance sheet, you'll have to have done that for 2 consecutive periods before the qualification date to qualify. that's probably another thing just to check if you're a growing organisation. If you just hit it 1 year and then you dip below it again, then it doesn't apply for you. And just going back to the net zero thing, there was the consultation for ESOS, wasn't there, Leon? And is there expectation for net zero to be a part of the Phase 5 requirement?
Yes, net zero will be part of Phase 5. It was originally planned for Phase 4, but they've decided to sort of move it to Phase 5. But actually, the details as to like what part of net zero would need to be involved is still not known yet. There's not any official announcement yet, so we will still have to observe. When as we evolve.
Thank you. I'm going to start from the top because we've got a few more questions here, Leon. This one he says Phase 3 has long-term projects which will be completed in 26 and 27. Can these be rolled into our Phase 4 action plan?
Sorry, can you come again? I think
our action plan from Phase 3 has long-term projects that will be completed in 26 and 2027. Can these be rolled into the Phase 4 action plan?
Well, actually, I think the whole idea of action plan, we shouldn't, use the notion of Phase 3 action plan, Phase 4 action plan, but the idea of like an ongoing action plan as a whole. So to answer your question, yes, anything you anticipate to complete by 5th of December 2027, you should include in your action plan. But apparently, if you have started, you have not started your project. For example, if you plan to start something in 2026 and expect it to be completed by 2027, then obviously you may not want to put your actions into your action plan progress update 1, but probably you want to put it in your progress update 2, if that all makes sense. So essentially, like you want to report something you have started, but as to something you have planned but not yet start, then obviously you can sort of put it out because you can never be sure that you're going to start it anyway in 2026.
Thank you. Another one here about action plan related is how much detail does the action plan need? I have basics, but these are large projects in the roof replacement.
Well, I think that would be there's a very subjective. We need to go into details of different situation or different actions. But in general, I would say you should have got most, if not all, the information you need from your ESOS recommendations report. At least for our report, we would have already put in a lot of the required information for you to put into your action plan. For example, things like what you're going to do, the expected reductions, and then probably some of the investments involved. There's no need. There's not mandatory things to put in, but we do provide those estimates in our reports as well. Yeah, but I think, like I said, details, you can always speak to us and then we can let you know, like in full details.
Yeah, I mean, I think although we're answering these questions now, and I really appreciate people asking them, we'll probably come back afterwards as well, just to make sure the answers of, your questions being answered and to see if there's anything else you need. We've got a few questions coming in, Leon, here. As an SME, are there any voluntary reporting schemes that are highly regarded?
Yeah, I answered that question already.
Yes. I was.
And then the other one is about the leased property.
The
leased property should be included as like your profile, not only the own property. Yeah. So in short, yeah. So probably most of the time you would need to include all leased property in your profile.
Okay, well, I missed that. Hopefully you haven't answered this one. If we switch from ESOS to 50,001, do we still need to update the ESOS portal or does the ISO certification suffice?
You still need to update the Mesos portal to a certain extent, but the route is quite different. You need to do a lot more on the Mesos. I'm just talking about the Mesos portal. You need to do a lot more if you go through the ESOS route, and then but if you are doing ISO 50001 route, potentially you would fill in less stuff, less data, but as I mentioned earlier, the work involved in ISO 50001 is substantially, in most cases, is substantially more than just the ESOS route. So that's something to consider. But for the Mesos portal part, yes, you will still need it, but in a different, obviously in a different in a different process.
Yeah. I guess it's you just have the answers. You're still going to update the portal, but you'll have that information available.
Yes.
But someone says they've got 15,001 already. Will that make achieving 50,001 much easier? And what kind of costs are you looking at for 50,001 certification?
Well, I think the short answer to that is yes. Definitely, it will make if you've already got 14,001, definitely will make the 50,001 significantly easier, because both centers follow the high level structure, which means that they share common elements like the context of organization, leadership, planning, and support.
Yeah.
And since you have already got 14,001 implemented, you can also leverage your existing process, which is you've already established in 14,001, such as the documentation control, internal audit, management review, defining organization context. Essentially, we have got a service for what we call the integrated management system service, where we help clients to integrate different ISO systems like 14,001, 14064, 50,001 into what we call integrated management system, so that you can basically, through one documentation control, one internal audits, and one management review, then you can sort of cover all the elements and requirements for various management systems, which will make it into a very highly efficient sort of what we call the integrated management system. So for 50,000 ISO 50001, so you primarily need to focus on the system, on the specific technical aspects of energy management. That's defining your energy performance indicator, your EMPIs, and then establishing an energy baseline, and then identifying your significant energy users. So, but other than that, you can always leverage the things that you have already established in your ISO 14,001, and then integrate into your 50,001.
But and I guess with regards to the cost, it depends on what the gap analysis shows and how much work's needed to get you from where you are to where you need to be.
Sorry, can you come again?
Did you give an answer to the question about what the cost would likely be?
Oh, sorry. So the cost actually varies a lot, because ISO 50001 essentially will need to cover 100% of all your sites across your organization. So for a very small SMEs, the cost may be just a few grand, but you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially for a large organization. So it actually varies. So depending on the size of the organizations.
Okay. Then I think we've talked about action plans a little bit. Talking here about the digital tools of space to record energy efficiency projects, and but also carbon management. Can we use your digital tools to measure other carbon activities like international global travel, supply chain emissions, etc., etc.?
Definitely, there are digital tools out there which allows you to sort of collect those data. But I think ultimately, the challenge comes down to do you have your internal process and policies in place to capture those data because when you're talking about collecting, let's say, transport data, for example, often the time it's not about the tools, it's about the practice and also the whether there are any policy in place to sort of execute those data collections, because you are basically asking everyone in the organization to travel to submit data, which requires some kind of standardization. So as I mentioned, the key challenges here is to have like the process in place internally, and also the policies to execute the whole thing. Yeah. But definitely, yes. The short answer, yes. There will be, there are tools available. So with the right setup and the right policy in place, definitely you will be able to, collect those data.
I don't know if we've kind of answered this one already, but what are the consequences of not submitting an action plan or the subsequent progress updates?
Sorry, I'm losing you.
Oh, you're losing me.
Yeah.
Well, I said, what are the consequences of not submitting an action plan or the progress updates?
Okay, so basically, if you fail to submit the mandatory action plan following the ESOS Phase 3 compliance, or the subsequent action, the progress update for Phase 4, they are all considered as like non-compliance with the ESOS regulations. So the consequences may be that you will receive enforcement notice on the EA, and then there will potentially, be financial penalties as well. And then the fines are basically, they can be up to £50,000 plus a daily penalty of £500. For continuing to be non-compliant. And one thing to add on is that about the public disclosure, if for any non-compliance, the EA can publish the name of those non-compliance organizations and the details of the penalties involved. So those are the potential consequences, for not complying.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Leon. That's it for the questions. If there's nothing else coming in, I think we'll call it there. 6 minutes early, giving you the gift of time. We've got to have a tea before you get on with your afternoon. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. Thank you, Leon, for preparing the slides and for giving all that insight today. Everyone have a good day, a good weekend and whatnot, and speak to you soon.